Welcome back, everybody, to Conversations with Carroll. I'm your host, Nolan Carroll, and I have a special, lovely guest with me right now. She's a woman that is basically paving her own path, and I'm very interested to talk to her right now. She's a woman that has a resume that's very long, and I'm very interested here today to welcome Astrid Bavaresco. How are you doing?
Great. How are you? Thank you so
I'm
much for
doing
having
great.
me. I'm excited.
Definitely. And I remember one of the things when I first started talking to you that interested me was you had that retired label. And you're retired PLP, is that right?
SLP.
SLP, I'm sorry. And I want you to explain to me that feeling of the transition from being retired to going into basically a whole new realm of a job and where you've been able to just blaze your own path.
Right. I feel like growing up, I come from a Hispanic background. You're just conditioned, right, to believe that the what you're supposed to do as a woman is, or just in general, is you're supposed to grow up, go to school, get a career, then
Yeah,
you get married, then you have
yeah.
kids, and then that's just what life is supposed to be, right? So I think like growing up, I wanted to do all the right things, which were go to school. I got my master's degree. I'm a speech language pathologist. And then I love what I do. I loved my career. It's like a passion of mine. But then I just found myself being in a place where I didn't have like time freedom, financial freedom. I was working like 40 hours a week. I was in my office and I was like a burnt out
Yeah.
therapist. I found a whole nother avenue where I was able to find that financial and time freedom, working from my phone, working from Wi-Fi. And then I had to make that decision of, what road did I want to take?
Yeah.
In the beginning, I feel like I felt ashamed,
Yeah.
to walk away from something that I had put so much work and effort towards because I definitely wasn't a school person.
Yeah.
So like for me, pulling through with my master's was like what I thought would be my biggest
Good thing.
accomplishment in life. So getting to the point where I'm now doing something else that's able to provide me with a lot of stuff that my career didn't was a little like it had me torn, but now I'm just honestly living my best life. I love what I do, and my hat's off to all therapists, nurses, medical professionals
Yeah.
because I feel like you have to do it because you have a passion for it because the monetary reward
Yeah.
is really, really not there. You're overworked, underpaid. But
Sounds
yeah,
like
no, I
football.
feel like it's great. Like I love it. And that's something that nobody can ever take away from me. I'm retired now, but I think about it. I'm like, maybe later on I could always go back to it. But just stepping away from speech pathology was kind of like a tough decision, but one that I'm grateful that I did.
You took the risk, and I want to kind of go into now the other chapter of your life. And you've now created this whole different world persona like a boss, and you've really been able to empower a lot of other women. I've seen the events that you've done. You've flown all over the place, and you've really taken that ownership of, hey, look, women, I'm doing this by myself, and this is what I've created. You can do the same thing. How has that been for you to really see what you've done now kind of pay off and everybody kind of rallying behind you to really make this thing grow?
Right. Sometimes I don't like to like, I don't know, I never really like think of it like that, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like so in the moment
Yeah.
and going through the motions that I don't really like see myself. Like I know it's a I don't even know how to explain this, but when I first joined this business and I started network marketing and I started what Like a Boss label is, which it's an amazing community. Um, I didn't think that I could do what it's become, right? So I just joined this and I was like, you know what? I just want a little side hustle.
Yeah.
I'll make a little extra $500 a month and I'll be good with it. And then when I realized that it was bigger than that. It was bigger than $500. It was more than, selling shampoo. It was an opportunity that I had in my hands to be able to show other women that you can have financial freedom, you can have time freedom, and it's a sense of almost confidence that comes when you reach all those things as a woman. And I was talking to my friends earlier, telling them that I was going to do this, and I was like, the biggest thing for me is that growing up, just high school, college, and I even did a reality TV show. everybody was always so catty. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I feel like guys have that, like, I don't know, like girls don't have that sisterhood.
Yeah,
Like guys
yeah,
have it, like you guys are bros, and
yeah.
it's like girls don't have that. It's very competitive, very catty, and I just I found myself being at times like that, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like the person that I was when I was that way, and I didn't like the people that I was around
Yeah.
when I was being that way. So when I saw this platform, I knew that it was like something that I could turn. I'm like, this could be positive. I can empower, I can uplift, I can motivate other women to start their own business, to, you know, lead in love and be true to themselves and find that sense of confidence
Mm-hmm.
that comes with owning your own business
Yeah.
or being quote unquote independent.
That's interesting that you brought that up. The brotherhood aspect of what I went through as far as football. You know, I had guys that were kind of helping me out, rallying around to get me to almost get over the hump from that transition phase, and I found myself helping other guys the same way. And you're right. There's so many women that only focus on themselves and, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that,
It's
or,
so bad.
you know, and it's one of those things where it's just like there's so much more that you can be doing, like you have been doing. And what is it like for you when there's a new woman that comes in and she doesn't know what she wants? She's in your steps that you were probably last year, and then now to see them kind of progress and do the same thing that you're doing. How does that satisfaction kind of gratify you to know that, hey, look, what I have been doing, other people are watching, other women are watching, is very beneficial for them?
Right. I think when somebody always like comes to me or approaches me about the business or anything like that, the first thing I try to find is a solution to their issue. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times, you'd be surprised, but most women are, you know, in abusive relationships that, you know, they're sticking around because they can't afford to get up and go. Um, they're living on a budget
Mm-hmm.
because that's what their partner could afford to give them. And it's like, you know, asking for an extra $50 for groceries is
Mm-hmm.
even like
Wow.
them scared to do it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and a lot of women that are single moms raising kids that don't have a partner that supports. So usually, like for me, when somebody comes and is interested in the business, I try to figure out, you know, what is their issue and how can I help them, right? Which before I got into this and I was like, I'm getting into this and I have my friends.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm going to do this for money, not for friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I started meeting these women that have a conflict and I feel like I have to find a solution for them.
Wow.
So that's kind of what it's become, you know, it's become that friendship that it's become like a sisterhood. Like now it's like, yeah, I want you to meet your numbers.
Yeah.
I want you to, you know, succeed, but most of all, I want you to be happy, be able to pay your bills, be able to take your kids to dance, you
Yeah.
know, be able to drive your kids in a car around town,
Yeah.
you know, and you can earn all those things by working hard. So I think mostly that's kind of like where the gratification comes from realizing that, you know, you pushing somebody to work hard, push hard, set a goal, and go after it,
Mm-hmm.
is paying off in a way that is changing their lives.
Yeah, I have been seeing that. Just as far as you and the steps, I remember it was recent. You just showed how you bought your car and you paid in full, and you know things like that is to me when I see it, I look at it as a confidence builder for other women that are lost, like you said, and you being able to help them is, I think it's beneficial because it's not seen. It's very unique in the way that I've been able to kind of track along the way, and I think it's phenomenal what you're doing. I want to now get into your podcast. We mentioned a little bit, and honestly, I heard a little bit of. I'm a guy, so when I hear things from a women's perspective, it's different. Where I'm like, oh, I didn't know she was thinking that way. So just tell me about your back. It's being a badass, right?
Becoming badass.
Becoming badass. Tell me about that because I'm a guy. I only know what guys know, and that's it. So
Right.
when I started listening to her, I was like, oh, she's like, this is direct. And I was just like, oh, shoot, this is beneficial for me because now I got instant information. What is it like for you to do your podcast and enhance your reach now and start bringing in other avenues of your life, of your business, other women into this podcast to explain and show them that there is another way?
Right. So another issue that I came across, or like kind of like a roadblock, was that, you know, social media is kind of like a platform and you only put this like picture perfect
Yeah.
person, right? So it's really hard for a person to come onto your social media page. You know, I'm like every woman, I know my angles, I know what
Yeah.
filters to use, you know, I know all those
Just
things,
before we even started this,
right?
yeah.
So I'm like, you know, my page is perfectly curated,
Hmm.
right? So sometimes women do come on this platform and then they see like it's unattainable. Like I can never be that because this is like such a curated platform,
Hmm.
right? So I wanted to create another platform where women or any listener could come on and get more of like a raw, real
Yeah.
feel as to who I am,
Yeah.
right? Like just being unapologetic myself, not
Yeah.
holding myself back, just really talking like I would, like we're talking right
Yeah.
now. I'm talking to my friends, which is something that most people don't really get when they come to your social media and they
Hmm.
just see like these dope
Just
pictures,
pictures.
traveling, all these nice events. But now we're having real conversations, talking on, you know, hitting and covering topics that are real that we have with our friends that I could have with a stranger, and making myself more relatable. So
Hmm.
I think it's been really, really cool. We've had some great guest speakers on it, great conversations. And, you know, every time I do something, I think I'm like, it's crazy to see that every time I do something, I end up learning so much from it because
Yeah.
I've learned so much from myself, like about myself, or I've gotten like so much insight from our guest speakers that I'm like, wow, like I wanted to do this because I wanted to show a different side of me,
Yeah.
but I've gotten so much in return
That's
because
good.
I've been like schooled by a lot of our guest speakers. So, yeah, that's that.
I like that. Now, just looking at a bird's eye view from everything that you're doing, where do you see all your endeavors really taking you the next step?
Man, I have so many big dreams, right? I'm working on another project now that hopefully is going to fully go through soon and I can announce that. But, um, you know, I just think I just want to be happy, right? You know, I have all these goals. I want to hit like $1 million club with my company. I know it's going to come. And,
Hmm.
you know, you think of abundance, like, of course, I want a home, I want a husband, I want children, I want all those things, right? But I just want to live like a peaceful life and a
Yeah.
happy life,
Yeah.
right? And I think for me, it's maintaining that financial and time freedom.
Hmm.
So I think just growing with this company is ultimately like where I see myself. I see that just being long term and just like coming across many other people whose lives I can change.
Hmm.
Now I feel like it's my calling, and
Oh
I
wow, you
feel
found your
like
passion.
I'm here to like to tell women like you can become a badass. You know, I think a lot of this also comes from the reality show that I did. It was like a hierarchy, right?
Hmm.
And it was kind of like it was a hierarchy based on who you're married to or who your spouse was, right?
Hmm.
So, like, pretty much you were higher in the hierarchy type thing,
Hmm.
depending on who you're married to, right? So, if
Uh,
you're married to like a professional athlete, whatever, the
yeah.
better the player he is, like, the more status you almost got. And while I was filming this, I realized not all the girls, but most of them were dating these guys that were total badasses, still had nothing going on for themselves. And
Hmm.
even though they had the nicest cars, nicest things in the world, they're still fucking miserable ass bitches and they're catty as fuck. So I'm
Yeah.
like, it really showed me that money isn't everything.
Hmm.
We need it. You know, whoever says that money doesn't buy happiness is
Yeah.
probably lying because we all like nice things. But I felt like there was like a bigger picture. You know, I felt like you need to find like an identity for yourself, no matter who your person is, whoever your partner is. And sometimes it's not just about the consumerism, the purchasing, the buying, the lavish things, but sometimes it's like, what impact, what legacy are you leaving? Like, who are you helping out? Who's gonna think of you? Nobody's gonna really remember what shoes I came in here
Yeah.
wearing, but they're gonna remember the way that I made them feel,
Yeah.
right? So for me, of course, I want nice cars, nice things, but ultimately, I just want my community to keep growing and I just want to keep changing lives.
Wow. We can end on that. That one's a statement, guys. That
Mic
no,
drop. No, I'm
no.
just
I like
kidding.
yeah, just mic drop. No, honestly, from everything that you said, I kind of I get motivated because, like I said, is hearing it from a woman that, like you explained, a woman's status is all based on who she dates, instead of really blazing your own path and not worrying about what everybody else is thinking or judging you on. You're really trying to do it for the right motives, the right intentions. You want to help other women or other people that see you as creating your own way, your own path. So I commend you for all you're doing. I really think you're courageous because the more women see that, that allows other women to do the same thing. Not necessarily copy you, but find a way to another avenue. So I definitely,
Right.
definitely thank you for coming on the show
Thank
and
you. Thank
spending
you.
time with me and really explaining how it is to be a badass. And thank
Love
you.
it.
Appreciate it.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. I think you're pretty badass yourself. You know,
Appreciate
sometimes
it.
it's very humbling because I'm like in this community when it's like all women.
Yeah.
And then like when you see like men are like, hey, good job, it's almost like it feels good too. You know,
Yeah.
I get like DMs from guys that are like, hey, you
That's
know, I'm
okay.
motivated by your hustle. Like,
Okay.
keep going. And, you know, not that I don't love hearing it from women, but then sometimes when you see like men are also like supportive of the movement, it's kind of really cool.
You got my respect. So don't even
Thank
worry
you.
about it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. My book, It's Up to You. It's out now. Go ahead and click the link in the description.